Alright, so prostitution. So how come pornography is essentially paying people to have sex and recording it? But if you would just want to pay a prostitute, it's illegal and, may I add, sketchy. I know prostitution is not an easy topic to talk about, but it turns out it's some of the most important things in life that are the hardest to talk about, but they're usually worth it. I've considered many times in my life what it would be like to be a prostitute and have quite a bit of research, and have done quite a bit of research on the subject. Prostitution is a massive problem in our country, and legalizing it would greatly benefit our country and our people. In the rest of the speech, I'm going to go over how legalizing prostitution will benefit the economy, decrease crime, and help the working girls. Introducing a larger legal prostitution process in the United States would massively help the government, bringing in a lot of money in for taxes that is currently untaxed. Just because prostitution is illegal does not mean it's not happening all over the world, including the USA. It turns out that it's actually quite a large industry and could have a potential of around $20 billion, according to Debating Europe. Similarly to the way that before marijuana was legal in most states, it was still being consumed in insane quantities. And now that weed is legal, the people and in turn the government now get to profit from the legal use of it, being taxes or here and there. This would also help the unemployment because illegal prostitutes wouldn't need to collect unemployment, and the jobs would surround prostitution would also provide even more jobs. As it turns, prostitution merits quite a bit of expenses, which, if legal, would be taxed and accounted for instead of just being pocketed by pimps or prostitutes. According to the study done by Harvard Law School, in just 2 years, we averaged 2,500 federal trafficking cases, and approximately half of them are involved in underage victims. This costs the government a lot of money for legal bills, and significantly lower. This would all be significantly lowered if prostitution were to be legalized. Now we're going to dive deeper into the real-life crime that follows with illegal prostitution. One big advantage in legalization of prostitution would be in the laws that would be put in place in the industry and how the current state of black market prostitution could change and in turn lower the crime drastically. If laws were created to protect these women, then there will be a lot less crime against them because people will understand the consequences for their actions. According to HG Legal Resources, prostitution is actually one of the most dangerous jobs in the United States, even higher than logging and Alaskan fishermen. The death rate for prostitution is over 0.2%, which doesn't sound like a lot, like looking from like an outside perspective, like it's only 0.2%, but in reality there are a lot of illegal prostitutes, so it actually adds up. There's a decent amount of death rate. This goes beyond death rate, as a spread of sexual transmitted diseases would also decrease dramatically if the prostitutes were more controlled and managed. One big thing that comes into play a lot when talking about the underground prostitution ring and sex trafficking, which is a massive problem all over the world, including the US. According to Allison Bass from HuffPost, after Rhode Island made indoor prostitution legal for a few years, they saw a 30% decrease in reported rapes and similarly decrease in gonorrhea. This is just one example of how we can see decline in crime after legalization of prostitution. Furthermore, we see a very important benefit that the actual hardworking escorts would see if prostitution were legal. Finally, but certainly not least, we have how the legalization of prostitution would help the prostitutes themselves. The legalization of prostitution would also bring laws and regulations for how the workers are treated and how the businesses will be conducted, which will 100% better the lives of the workers. If everything is more transparent about prostitution, then there will be a lot less misconceptions and general mistaste for the work, and it will become more normalized, just like any legitimate job, and also it gives the women a legitimate way of making money without an education that is a lot safer than it is currently, and it's quite lucrative for them. For example, in Amsterdam, there are very specific laws in how prostitution is conducted, which controls how the services are run, and in turn makes it a lot safer for the workers. We can see that legalization of prostitution would also change the way that people view the men and women in these fields, and one could even go as far as to say it would be good for women's rights. According to a study done by Harvard Civil Rights, on average, sex slaves typically cost $1,895 and generate $29,210 annually. That's a big difference that is being taken away from them by the pimps. If legalized, it would be drastically lower in the amount of sex trafficking, which would help the workers quite significantly because the way these workers are currently treated is beyond inhumane, which sometimes even includes illegal activity on its own, such as keeping sex slaves drugged up and manipulated so that they continue working. So overall, I hope I can at least get you thinking about making prostitution legal, and it would bring lots of benefits. In the speech above, I went over how the legalization of prostitution could benefit the economy, decrease crime, and benefit the prostitutes themselves. Prostitution is seen by many as a very dirty and gross job, but the truth is making prostitution legal would actually bring a lot more benefits than the current state of the legal prostitution. So please try to be less afraid to talk about prostitution because you could be saving lives, and on top of that, helping our country in more ways than you would think. So next time you're talking with friends, maybe try to bring it into the conversation, see what other people think, to get the ball rolling on getting more people interested in change.